Have you ever gazed into the night sky, your heart quietly asking, God, is there someone out there destined to walk this life with me? What if every tear you've shed, every season of waiting, and every unanswered prayer is God's careful hand shaping you for a love story that will echo through eternity? Picture the moment you meet your soulmate, not by mere chance, but because God's divine plan has been orchestrating your paths since before the stars were set in place. Imagine standing at the edge of a serene valley, the breeze carrying whispers of hope, your heart beating with anticipation for the love God has promised. You've poured out your prayers night after night, waded through seasons that stretched on like an endless horizon, and perhaps even wondered if love is truly woven into God's plan for you. You see others, their hands clasped, their love stories blooming like flowers in spring, and a soft question stirs within, Lord, when will my story begin? But what if I told you that God isn't just preparing a soulmate for you, He's preparing you for them? The waiting, the heartbreaks, the quiet moments of longing, they're not signs of God's delay. They're the careful strokes of His hand, crafting you for a divine connection that will radiate His glory. God doesn't rush to meet our impatient demands. He's the master of time, weaving every thread of your life with a precision that surpasses human understanding. Think of Abraham, standing beneath a canopy of stars, hearing God's promise of descendants as countless as the heavens. Yet decades passed, and the promise remained unfulfilled, testing his faith through years of silence. In that long wait, God wasn't absent. He was teaching Abraham to trust, to surrender his own plans, to root his hope in a God whose promises never falter. Your season of waiting is no different. God is working within you, refining your character, healing the scars of your past, and cultivating the maturity that true love demands. He's shaping you into someone who can carry the weight of a relationship that honors Him, a love that endures beyond fleeting emotions. Why does it seem like love comes so effortlessly to others while your path feels like a winding trail through an untamed wilderness? Could it be that God is shielding you from relationships that don't belong in His eternal story for you? Those heartbreaks, those moments when you thought you'd found the one, only to watch it slip through your fingers, they weren't failures. They were God's gentle redirection, pulling you back from paths that would lead to pain or distraction. He was preserving you for a love that's deeper, purer, and aligned with His divine purpose. Every unanswered prayer, every door that closed, was a testament to His care. He's not withholding joy from you. He's safeguarding a treasure far more precious, a love that will stand the test of time. Instead of pleading, God, when will I meet my soulmate? Try praying, God, who am I becoming in your hands? God doesn't bring your soulmate when you're restless or desperate. He brings them when you're ready. He wants you to be whole in Him first, not seeking another person to fill the empty spaces in your heart. Picture yourself as a vessel, carefully molded by the potter's hands. Every trial, every lesson, every moment of growth is a deliberate touch of His artistry, preparing you to hold the blessing of love without breaking under its weight. God is teaching you patience, integrity, and a faith that stands firm, ensuring you're equipped for the divine appointment He's planned, a moment when two lives converge in His perfect timing. This preparation is about more than romance, it's about purpose. God isn't just writing a love story. He's crafting your entire life to reflect His glory. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, cast into a pit, and imprisoned for years in a foreign land. Before he could step into his destiny, he endured trials that forged his character, strengthened his faith, and prepared him for greatness. If God had given him his future too soon, he might have stumbled under its weight. The same is true for you. If you're not ready, you could mishandle the gift of love God intends. That's why He takes His time, shaping you into someone who can steward a relationship with wisdom, grace, and unwavering trust in Him. Are you walking in obedience to God's call? Are you faithful in the small, everyday moments that seem insignificant? God doesn't demand perfection, but He seeks a heart that pursues Him with sincerity. He's not looking to pair two broken people, hoping they'll patch each other's wounds. Instead, He makes you whole in Him, first building your faith, healing old scars, and teaching you to depend on His guidance. This season of waiting isn't a punishment, it's divine protection. God loves you too much to give you a blessing before you're prepared to carry it. He wants your love story to be built on faith, trust, and a love that mirrors His own heart, one that endures through every storm and shines as a testament to His goodness. Reflect on the times you begged God to save a relationship, pouring out your heart for it to work, only to look back later and thank Him for letting it go. Those moments are His grace, sparing you from a future rooted in insecurity, selfishness, or fleeting passion. When you surrender to His process, you begin to see that meeting your soulmate is more than a romantic spark. It's a divine appointment. A moment when two lives, shaped by God's hand, come together for His purpose. God doesn't orchestrate random encounters. He orders the steps of those who seek Him, aligning paths in ways that defy human understanding, weaving a story that points to His faithfulness. Think of Ruth, a widow carrying the weight of loss, her future uncertain as she stepped into a foreign land. She didn't chase after love or try to force her own path. Instead, she chose obedience, working diligently in the fields to provide for Naomi, trusting God with her unknown tomorrow. In her quiet faithfulness, God guided her to Boaz, a man who became her redeemer and a cornerstone in God's eternal plan. Your soulmate won't appear when you're frantically searching or trying to control the outcome. They'll come when you're faithfully walking in God's purpose, trusting Him to lead you step by step, moment by moment. If you feel like you're waiting endlessly, like love has forgotten you, hold fast, God is never late. He's not ignoring your prayers. He's working behind the scenes, aligning your life with the one He's chosen for you. Every moment of waiting is a brushstroke in His masterpiece, painting a love story that's worth every tear, every prayer, every silent night. Focus on becoming the person God calls you to be. Live with purpose, serve with joy, and trust that He's preparing you for a love that's not just fleeting but eternal, a love that will reflect His heart to the world. When God introduces your soulmate, it won't be forced or clouded by doubt. It'll be a moment of divine clarity, where you'll feel His presence guiding you both. You'll know not because of butterflies or fleeting emotions, but because of the peace that only God can give. So, keep seeking Him. Keep growing in faith. The author of love is writing your story, and when the time is right, He'll turn the page, revealing a chapter so beautiful, you'll understand why every moment of waiting was worth it. Picture yourself standing on a quiet hill at dawn, the first rays of sunlight piercing the mist, wrapping your heart in a warmth that feels like a divine embrace. This is the peace God brings when He introduces you to your soulmate stillness, that silences every doubt, a clarity that feels like stepping into the life you were always meant to live. The world may paint love as a stormy sea, tossing you through waves of uncertainty and heartbreak, but God's love stories are anchored in a different reality. They're marked by a peace that transcends human understanding, a quiet assurance that you're walking the path He's laid out. When God guides you to your soulmate, you won't be lost in a maze of questions or struggling to make things work. It will be a moment of sacred certainty, where His hand is unmistakably at work, leading you to a love that feels like home. God's approach to love is worlds apart from the chaos the world celebrates. The world insists that love is a wild chase, a cycle of passion and pain, where you must endure countless doubts and dramas to find the one. But God's love is not a turbulent storm, it's a steady river, flowing with purpose and grace. Think of Adam and Eve, standing amidst the lush beauty of Eden. Adam didn't need to search frantically or question if Eve was his match. God brought her to him at the perfect moment, with no confusion, no need for second guessing. That same God is crafting your love story with the same intentional care, ensuring that when your soulmate steps into your life, you'll recognize them not through fleeting sparks, but through the unshakable peace that only He can give. Have you ever been in a relationship that left you unsettled, your heart heavy with questions, wondering if this was what love was meant to be? Maybe you lay awake at night, replaying conversations, trying to decipher if they truly cared or if you were enough. That's not God's design for love. When He brings your soulmate, you won't need to force the pieces together or beg for their affection. Love from God is effortless, like a melody that hums in perfect harmony. It's not defined by anxiety or endless uncertainty, but by a calm certainty that this is right. You won't need to chase their love or prove your worth. Their heart will meet yours in a way that feels natural, steady, and true, reflecting the love of a God who never wavers. Sometimes, before God can usher in the right person, He must first clear away those who don't belong in your story. Think of the relationships you held on to with all your strength, praying they would last, only to realize later that their end was a gift from above. Those moments of letting go, though they pierce like a winter's chill, were God's mercy at work. He sees beyond the horizon, knowing when a relationship is pulling you from His purpose or steering you toward pain. Like Abraham and Lot, God sometimes calls for a separation to prepare you for His greater promise. Lot had to leave before Abraham could fully embrace the destiny God had planned. In the same way, God may close doors in your life not to hurt you, but to make room for the one whose love will align with His divine will, a love that honors Him in every way. Those closed doors, those faded connections, they're not signs of rejection, but of divine protection. God loves you too much to let you settle for a love that falls short of His best. Have you ever tried to hold on to a relationship like clinging to a rope that's fraying in your hands? No matter how tightly you grip, it slips away. But when God removes someone from your life, He's not being unkind. He's clearing the path for a love that flows without force. A love that doesn't require you to compromise your faith or sacrifice your peace. He's preparing you for a connection that feels like rest, where your heart can breathe, knowing you're exactly where you're meant to be. If you're in a relationship filled with constant doubt, anxiety, or turmoil, take a moment to ask, is this from God? Love from Him doesn't leave you restless, questioning your value, or fighting for scraps of attention. It feels like a safe haven, a place where your soul finds rest. That doesn't mean it's without challenge. Every relationship faces trials, but it's rooted in faith, not fear. When God introduces your soulmate, you won't need to convince them to love you or struggle to keep their heart. Their presence will be a confirmation of God's plan. A love that grows from mutual trust, respect, and a shared commitment to His purpose, shining as a testament to His faithfulness. Consider Mary and Joseph, whose journey together was not without obstacles, yet guided by God's steady hand. When Joseph grappled with doubt, unsure of Mary's path, God sent an angel to bring clarity, affirming that this was His divine design. That's how God operates. He confirms His will, dispelling confusion with His peace. When your soulmate arrives, you won't be left wrestling with chaos or endless questions. You'll feel His confirmation deep within, a quiet knowing that this is the one He's prepared for you. God's love stories are not built on shifting sands, where one day is passion and the next is uncertainty. They're built on a foundation of trust, where His peace is the bedrock, holding you steady through every season. The world may glorify the idea that love must be a battle, that you need to fight through heartbreak after heartbreak to find your soulmate. But God's way is not a war of attrition, it's a journey to clarity. If you're questioning a relationship, turn to God's Word for guidance. Does this love align with His truth? Does it draw you closer to Him or pull you away? A love from God will never lead you astray from your faith. It will deepen it, encouraging you to grow in His grace and walk more closely with Him. When God brings your soulmate, their love will reflect Christ's faithful, selfless, and rooted in a commitment to honor God above all else. So, trust God's process, even when it means letting go of what feels familiar. Don't cling to relationships He's asking you to release. Don't chase what's not meant for you. When God introduces your soulmate, it will be undeniable not because you forced it to happen, but because His peace will confirm it like a lighthouse guiding you home. Your love story will be a living testimony to His faithfulness, showing the world that when God writes a love story, it's not a tale of chaos, but of divine clarity, a story that points to His perfect love. If you're waiting, wait with faith. If you're searching, search in prayer. And if you're wondering if God has forgotten you, rest in this truth. He's preparing a love that's worth every moment, a love that will shine as a beacon of His eternal plan. Imagine walking through a vibrant meadow, wildflowers swaying in the breeze, each step drawing you closer to a purpose that feels woven into the fabric of your soul. This is the kind of journey God invites you on when He prepares you for your soulmate, not just a quest for romance, but a calling to fulfill His divine plan. The world may tell you that love is about finding someone to make you happy, a spark to light up your days. But God's vision for love is far greater. It's about two hearts united in His purpose, walking hand in hand to glorify Him. When God introduces you to your soulmate, He's not just giving you a partner to love. He's giving you a companion to share in the mission. He's set before you a love that shines as a testament to His eternal design. God's love stories are never just about fleeting emotions or momentary bliss. They're about His divine purpose unfolding through two lives surrendered to Him. Think of Ruth and Boaz, their story etched in the fields of Bethlehem under a vast starlit sky. Ruth, a widow bearing the weight of loss, didn't set out to find love. She chose obedience, faithfully serving Naomi, working diligently in the fields to provide for them both. In her steadfast devotion, God aligned her path with Boaz, a man who not only cherished her but became part of God's redemptive plan, their union leading to the lineage of Jesus. Their love was not just a romance, it was a divine partnership rooted in God's purpose, a story that echoed through generations. Your soulmate too will be more than someone you love. They'll be someone who walks alongside you, pushing you deeper into the calling God has placed on your life. Have you ever considered that your soulmate might be waiting for you in the very place where God has called you to serve? Perhaps it's in the quiet moments of worship at your church, the tireless hours you pour into a ministry, or the faithful steps you take in pursuing God's will. God often brings two people together in the context of their purpose, where their hearts are already aligned with His. Look at Adam in the Garden of Eden, surrounded by the beauty of God's creation. Before God brought Eve to him, He gave Adam a task to tend and keep the garden, to steward the work entrusted to him. Only when Adam was faithfully fulfilling his calling did God declare, "It is not good for man to be alone," and provide Eve not just as a companion, but as a helper to share in His purpose. In the same way, your soulmate won't distract you from God's plan. They'll amplify it, encouraging you to grow, challenging you to pursue Him more deeply, and inspiring you to live out the destiny He's written for you. This is why God prepares you before He brings your soulmate. He wants you to be rooted in His purpose, grounded in His truth, so that when you meet, your love becomes a force for His kingdom. If a relationship pulls you away from God's calling, if it dims the light of your faith or shifts your focus to fleeting desires, it's not from Him. True love, the kind God ordains, strengthens your commitment to Him. It's a partnership where both of you, hand in hand, run toward the same goal to honor God, to serve Him, and to reflect His love to the world. Your soulmate will be someone who sees your purpose and says, let's pursue it together. Someone who prays with you, grows with you, and stands by you as you both chase after God's heart. Have you ever felt a stirring in your spirit, a sense that God is calling you to something greater, something beyond yourself? That's His voice, beckoning you to step into the purpose He's designed for you. And often, it's in that place of obedience, that place of surrender, that God chooses to introduce your soulmate. Picture yourself serving in your community, pouring your heart into worship, or working faithfully in the role God has given you. In those moments when your eyes are fixed on Him, God may bring someone across your path not by accident, but by divine appointment. Like Ruth, who found Boaz while faithfully working in the fields, your soulmate may meet you right where you're serving God, where your heart is already aligned with His will. This connection between love and purpose is why prayer is so vital. Prayer is not just a tool to ask for a soulmate. It's the key that aligns your heart with God's plan. Think of Hannah, who poured out her soul to God in the temple, her heart aching for a child. Her fervent prayers, her unwavering trust, led to the birth of Samuel, a prophet who shaped Israel's history. The same principle applies to your love story. When you seek God first, when you surrender your desires to Him, He prepares you to receive the one He's chosen. Prayer refines your heart, sharpens your discernment, and opens your eyes to recognize the person God has prepared. It's not about begging for love, it's about becoming the person God calls you to be, someone ready to step into a love story that glorifies Him. Through prayer, God softens your spirit, heals the wounds that might cloud your vision, and gives you the wisdom to know when a relationship is from Him. A love story that begins in prayer is sustained by prayer, rooted in a shared faith that keeps you both anchored in God. When you pray, you're not just asking for a soulmate, you're asking God to align your life with His purpose, to lead you to someone who will walk beside you in fulfilling His plan. And when that person arrives, you'll see why every moment of prayer was worth it, why every step of obedience mattered. They won't just be an answer to your loneliness, they'll be an answer to your purpose, a partner in the mission God has set before you. God's timing is perfect, and His ways are deliberate. He doesn't bring two people together just for the sake of romance. He brings them together to reflect His love, to serve His kingdom, and to fulfill a purpose that's greater than themselves. If you're waiting for your soulmate, don't spend your days chasing love in all the wrong places. Instead, chase after God. Step into the calling He's given you, whether it's serving in your church, pursuing a passion that honors Him, or simply living faithfully in the small moments. When you're fully surrendered to His will, You won't need to search desperately, for love it will find you, right where you're meant to be. Think of the story of Aquila and Priscilla, a couple in the New Testament who served alongside Paul, their home, a hub for spreading the gospel. They weren't just husband and wife, they were partners in ministry, united in their devotion to God's work. Their love was a powerful force, not because it was perfect, but because it was rooted in a shared purpose to glorify Him. Your soulmate will be someone like that, someone who doesn't pull you away from God's plan, but draws you closer to it. Someone who inspires you to be the person God created you to be. So, if you're longing for love, focus on your purpose first. Seek God with all your heart, serve Him with all your strength, and trust that He's working behind the scenes. Your soulmate won't be found in the chaos of desperation, but in the beauty of devotion, where your heart is fully engaged in God's plan. When God brings you together, it won't just be about falling in love, it will be about rising together, building a life that points to His glory, a love story that tells the world of His faithfulness. Imagine kneeling in a quiet sanctuary, the world fading away, your heart laid bare before God, as you pour out every hope, every fear, every dream of love. This is where your love story truly begins, not in the rush of fleeting encounters or the noise of the world, but in the sacred stillness of prayer and surrender. The world may tell you to take control, to chase love with all your might, but God invites you to a different path on where you trust His plan, seek His heart, and release your desires into His hands. When God writes your love story, it's not just about finding your soulmate, it's about discovering His purpose through a love that glorifies Him. As you pray and surrender, you open the door for Him to lead you to the one He's chosen, in His perfect time, with a peace that confirms His divine hand at work. Prayer is the bridge that connects your heart to God's eternal plan, the key that unlocks the love story He's written for you. It's not a fleeting wish or a desperate plea, but a lifestyle of seeking God first, trusting Him to guide every step. Think of Isaac and Rebekah, whose story began not with chance but with prayer. Abraham sent his servant to find a wife for Isaac, but he didn't rely on human effort alone. The servant prayed, asking God for clear guidance, and God answered with precision, leading him straight to Rebekah by the well. That same God hears your prayers today, weaving your requests into His plan, preparing you and your soulmate for a divine encounter that will reflect His glory. When you pray, you're not just asking for love, you're asking God to shape you, to align your heart with His will, to prepare you for the one He's chosen. Have you ever poured out your heart to God, feeling the weight of your longing lift as you placed it in His hands? That's the power of prayer. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. Through prayer, God softens your spirit, heals the wounds that might cloud your judgment, and grants you the wisdom to recognize the one He's prepared. It's not about demanding a soulmate on your timeline, but about seeking God's heart above all else. When you pray, Lord, prepare me for your plan, you're inviting Him to work within you, to remove any desires that don't align with His purpose, to make you ready for a love that's rooted in faith. Prayer is the foundation of a God-ordained love story, the thread that ties your heart to His perfect timing. But prayer alone is not enough. It must be paired with surrender. The act of letting go of your plans and trusting God's are better. Surrender is not giving up on love. It's giving up control, believing that God knows what's best for you. Think of Abraham, standing on a mountain with his son Isaac, ready to offer him as a sacrifice. In that moment of ultimate surrender, Abraham showed that he loved God more than anything, even his most precious promise. Because of his trust, God provided a ram and blessed Abraham beyond measure. The same principle applies to your love story. When you surrender your desires, your timeline, your expectations, your need to make things happen, you make room for God to move in ways that surpass your imagination. Surrender is not easy. It means trusting God when the waiting feels endless, when your heart aches for love, when you see others moving forward while you feel stuck. But have you ever considered that every moment of waiting is God aligning your life with your soulmates? Every closed door, every lonely night, every unanswered prayer is part of His preparation, ensuring you meet at the perfect time, in the perfect way. God's timing is not your timing, and that's a gift. Think of Sarah and Abraham, who waited decades for the child God promised. Their impatience led to mistakes, but God's plan prevailed, bringing Isaac at the moment when their faith was ready. When you surrender, you're saying, Lord, I trust your timing even when I don't understand it, and that trust opens the door for a love story that's worth every moment of waiting. God's love stories are not just about you, they're about His glory, about a love that reflects His heart to the world. When He brings you and your soulmate together, it's to show His faithfulness, His power, His perfect plan. Look at Mary and Joseph, whose union was far more than a marriage. It was a divine assignment to bring Jesus into the world. Their love, rooted in obedience and trust, became a cornerstone of God's redemptive story. Your love story, too, is meant to be a testimony, a living proof that God writes the most beautiful narratives when we trust Him. Your soulmate won't just be someone you love, they'll be someone who partners with you to serve God, to build a life that points others to Him. If you're waiting for love, don't let impatience lead you astray. Don't try to force open doors that God has closed. Instead, wait in faith, pray with fervor, and surrender with courage. Every moment you spend seeking God is a moment He's using to prepare you. Think of David, who spent years as a shepherd, faithfully tending his flock before he was anointed king. Those quiet years weren't wasted. They were God's training ground, shaping him for his destiny. Your waiting is not wasted either. It's God's workshop, where He's crafting you into the person who's ready for the love He's planned, a love that will stand as a beacon of His grace. When you live a life of prayer and surrender, you're not just waiting for your soulmate, you're becoming the person God created you to be. You're growing in faith, deepening in wisdom, and aligning your heart with His purpose. And when God brings your soulmate into your life, you'll see why every prayer mattered, why every moment of surrender was worth it. It won't be a love story born of chance or desperation, but one born of faith, written by the author of love himself. You'll feel his peace, his confirmation, his joy, knowing that this is the one he's prepared for you, the one who will walk with you to fulfill his calling. So, if you're longing for love, lift your heart to God. Pray without ceasing, not just for a soulmate, but for his will to unfold in your life. Surrender your plans, your fears, your timelines, and trust that he's working even when you can't see it. If you're wondering when your love story will begin, remember this: God has already written it. He's the author of every beautiful thing, and his plan for you is perfect. When the time is right, he'll turn the page, revealing a love story that's not just romantic but eternal, a story that will echo his glory for generations to come. Keep seeking him, keep trusting him, and know that the love he's preparing is worth every prayer, every tear, every moment of surrender.